Our story opens at Shuchian Academy when a girl named Miko enters the class, but her mood is off because of the presence of a boy, Ishigami. She has to sit beside him because he is a student council member. She's wearing earphones and starts listening to music to avoid hearing his voice, but unfortunately, the earphones are not plugged in, and he hears her taste in music. He cannot understand how she can study, listen to music and enjoy it, but he thinks she is a nice girl who has made up her mind to do what she wants. He starts getting scared because she starts listening to lectures on moral support. At the same time, a girl named Fujiwara enters the class and meets them. After meeting, Miko is about to play her music again, but he stops her and starts telling a random story, but she cannot find any interest in it. Shirogane and Lady Kagaya also come into the class, and he starts playing music with his unplugged headphones. He does it to make her realize that her earphones may be unplugged. He doesn't want to embarrass her in front of anyone, so he does it to help her, but she doesn't seem to care and doesn't think about it. She starts listening to her music without the earphones plugged in and gets embarrassed. After that, they all move back to their homes. At home, Lady Kagaya checks her phone continuously for 2 hours and sees a message from Shirogane but cannot reply. She thought she replied too late and mentioned she couldn't see messages, but she doesn't know the message sending technique because the person who sent the message already knows she saw all the messages 2 hours ago. Her helper wants to tell her this because she's opening his chat, but she can't listen and messages him an apology, mentioning she saw his message now. She also receives messages from others, sees them, but can't reply. Her helper advises her to reply to the messages because she read them, but she can't do it. At the same time, she receives a call from Shirogane asking why she can't reply as she opened and saw his message 2 hours ago. She gets nervous, so her helper told him that all these messages were seen by a staff member, and she saw the messages now, making him feel bad. Others also see that she saw their messages but couldn't reply and feel bad about it. The next day, Ishigami takes things and finds them heavy. Fujiwara picks up all the things easily and advises him to build some muscles. She also invites Miko for an arm wrestle in which she beats him badly. She feels proud of herself as she works on the weekends and takes care of herself. She decides to hold an arm wrestling tournament. In this tournament, they will decide who is the strongest and weakest, and everyone has to agree on it. The tournament is about to happen. The first match is between Ishigami and Kagaya. In this match, they both use their left hands because she is left-handed. He tries hard to defeat her but cannot, and she wins this match. He gets the weakest person's sash. The next match starts between Shirogane and Fujiwara. They both play passionately, and she is about to win, but they find out she's cheating by gripping his fingertips, which gives her an advantage. Ishigami records the whole thing, and she feels embarrassed and loses. Ishigami wears her weakest person's sash. The final match starts between Shirogane and Kagaya. They both play well. He tries hard to defeat her while she makes a little effort to hold her opponent. Their match is prolonged, and they both sweat. She decides to play fairly, and she wins. Everyone congratulates her and calls her Princess Muscle. In school, a ceremony was held where Kagaya introduced herself as the vice president of the student council. She also mentioned that she comes from a wealthy family who owns the Shinomiya group. Kagaya is a talented woman who has achieved success in various fields such as traditional performing arts, music, and martial arts. Shirogane also introduced himself as the president of the student council, describing himself as wise, intelligent, and reserved. He had scored first place in the practice exam. Both of them moved back into the spotlight, with everyone excited to see them. Many speculated they were in a relationship. In the student council room, Shirogane told Fujiwara that he had bought a new smartphone because he considered it important in life, useful for social plans and more. He gave his ID to her and also wanted Kagaya to take his ID, but he didn't ask her directly because he thought it might seem like a confession of love, which he wanted to avoid, believing the one who confesses love is a loser. On the other hand, Kagaya also hesitated to ask him for his ID because she found it embarrassing. He changed his profile photo to a childhood picture and mentioned he removed it in just 3 minutes. She wanted to see it, but hesitated to ask for his ID, as they weren't a normal couple who chatted with each other. She decided to pretend and started crying, though it was fake, and accused him of being cruel. He didn't understand her until he showed her the picture and realized she was playing a game, now having no reason to ask him for his ID. However, they both couldn't ask each other for fear of confessing and losing face. Fujiwara advised them to arrange a student council trip. Shirogane thought the mountains would be best and imagined spending time there, picturing them sitting under the starry sky where Kagaya would confess her love to him. He mentioned the mountains, but she suggested a sea trip instead, imagining herself in a swimsuit that would mesmerize him. He didn't want to go because he couldn't swim and felt embarrassed. He reassured her that it would mostly be a crowded public area, but she suggested using her private sea. She argued against the mountains due to weather and insects. Eventually, he agreed because he was a boy, and she was happy, though her confidence waned when she noticed her smaller chest compared to Fujiwara's. She reluctantly suggested the mountains. Fujiwara then expressed interest in going to Mount Osor and wanted to mediate to channel a spirit. Their plans were ultimately ruined, and they decided not to go anywhere. Later, a boy approached Shirogane for advice on confessing his love to his classmate, Kashiwagi. Shirogane, though inexperienced himself, decided to help and asked about the situation. Kaguya overheard from behind the door as the boy explained that Kashiwagi had given him chocolate on Valentine's Day, which he interpreted as a sign of her liking him, believing women don't express feelings directly. He also mentioned that she had asked if he had a girlfriend, to which he replied no, but he suspected she was teasing him. Shirogane reassured him and advised him to approach her directly, suggesting a technique he called wall down. The boy asked if Shirogane was a good boyfriend to Kaguya, but he clarified they weren't a couple and speculated she might hate him. The boy then asked Shirogane about his feelings towards Kaguya, and he confessed that her wealth and natural talent initially annoyed him, but he found her cute, beautiful, and perfect, which made her feel shy. The boy thanked Shirogane and left. Eventually, he confessed his love to Kashiwagi, and they became a couple. Fujiwara saw a book that the headmaster confiscated from a student. As this was not intended as reading material, she was shocked to see it and called it so bad. They came to know that 34% of students had already had such an experience, meaning that 1 out of 3 people. Kaguya saw it carefully. Fujiwara asked her about that experience, and she mentioned her first time was long ago. She took it completely normally and mentioned she grew up in a loving environment. But they both are shocked, and he thought of asking her to go out and confess his love. She asked him about a girlfriend, and he replied he was not in a relationship with anyone and had no experience with it. He remembered the time when girls gifted him different romantic things on Valentine's Day because he was very popular. He thought he was a twisted monster virgin and thought to tell her a lie, but she was experienced, and he would get exposed. She told him he had a little sister and she had experience with her newborn nephew. They couldn't understand what she was saying and thought she had a dark side of nobility. They asked her about the meaning of first time, and she replied kissing, as she had been protected from sexual information for 16 years. Now, Fujiwara understood the matter. She came toward her and told her that first time didn't just mean kissing and told her everything. At night, they both were alone because Fujiwara went out with her dog and others also moved out. She decided to test him with the game of 20 questions, as he claimed he knew her and understood her since they had been together in the student council for half a year. She set up the rules of the game. She would reply with yes or no, and he had to guess the answer. He started asking her questions one by one, and it turned out that she loved him, as his question was the same as whom she loved. Her shyness told him much and made him believe that he was the answer. He was impressed by her twisted way of confessing love, but he couldn't tell her, and he mentioned the answer was dog, and she replied yes. They both succeeded again in hiding their feelings. They were about to move out, and she remembered the time of her obsession with animals when she wanted to walk to the school but couldn't do it because she was from a rich family and her life and rules were decided by them. But one day, she was able to go to school because a cat was stuck in her car engine. She enjoyed the refreshing walk to the school and thought she also had a chance and opportunity to walk with Shromny. She was moving when she found a little girl crying near the road, and she decided to help her. This girl told her she wanted to cross the pedestrian bridge to go to school but couldn't do it alone. She started moving with her, and this little girl's name was Yeti, who usually went to school with friends but now had to go all alone. She reached her with her friend and mentioned on the way she would meet with her friends so not to worry about it. This girl moved out with her friend she left alone and thought to go to school with someone and enjoy the real life. At the same time, Shromny came with his bike and told her to sit, and they were moving because they were getting late for school, and she sat and enjoyed. Some days later she is going back to her usual routine but still remembers that day and becomes happy. Please subscribe to our channel for the next part.